Hey everyone, Anthony here, and if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll know I love macro photography. Getting a close-up look at some interesting and often sometimes expensive objects is pretty cool, but what I love most about macro photography is just learning the history or like weird facts about how these items came to be. That is my favorite. So today I'm going to talk to you about a couple tips to help you get banger macro photos. So let's dive in.
On my own, no fixer. I'm gon' ball, no pick up. Yeah, I ate doors, they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats from splitter. Never was the one to go flicker. No face, no case, no picture. Full place, big stakes, my dinner.
Having a background in portraiture is really helpful for macro photography because lighting is everything, and I always treat whatever the product is like I'm taking a photo of a person. Not that I'm sitting there having a conversation with the item, but sometimes, you know, that occasionally might happen. But I'm thinking about how to light the product like I would a person. So first you need yourself a main light, and this could be like a small light source, or it could be a soft, large light source like this 24-inch beauty dish. Usually with macro photography, you're shooting something fairly small, so you don't need like massive softboxes, but that's why this 24-inch beauty dish is so versatile. I use this for portraiture a lot because it can be a hard light if you back it up a bit and crank up the power, but you bring it in nice and close and it becomes fairly soft. The shadows almost become nearly non-existent if I move this like even closer. So we got ourselves a main light, and that's when I would look to portraiture to ask myself, what are the other lights that I might want to use? So picture macro photography or product photography like you would a high-end headshot. One main light, that might be all right, but if your subject is wearing, say, like a black t-shirt and your background is also black, then the subject might start to bleed into the background. Classic Hollywood headshots, they always have some sort of hair light. Sometimes this is called a kicker or a rim light. This light is placed behind the subject to create a glow around your star and then separate that subject from the background. And I want to take this technique from portraiture and bring it over to macro photography, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. If you watched my 3 portrait photography tips in 3 minutes video, you'll know that choosing the right background is also important. Since we're kind of close up on my subject, I'm going to make sure that the background is kind of dark by shooting close, but not too close to the background. Too close and the light from your main light is going to start to hit the background, making it appear bright, but too far away and the background might look completely black. But here's my secret weapon. I'm going to pull these 2 APUTURE MCs that you see in the background right here, and I'm going to use these lights because they're RGB lights and I can change the color depending on what I might want to shoot. I might take this watch off my wrist here and use like a green and orange kind of look with these APUTURE MCs, but I might also want to take this necklace off my neck, and this is like a 24 karat gold necklace, and I really want to play it with the gold hue that you might be able to pull out from this necklace by matching the colors on the APUTURE MC. So we'll see what we can get. Okay, so I think we're all set up for this first macro shot here, and I'm just gonna break this down so you guys get a good understanding of what's happening right here, because it looks like a little bit of a mess, especially on this angle. We do have this camera angle as well, so that way you can see what's going on. So essentially we're trying to photograph this watch, and this watch has such a beautiful dial, has such a cool, interesting texture, so it's gonna look really, really good on the macro lens. So let's talk about the camera setup right now. This is the Panasonic S5 Mark II. This is my A camera when I'm doing those talking head type videos. This is what I'm using to record that. And on the camera itself, I've got the Sigma 100mm macro. This is really key because the Sigma 100mm macro is a 1:1 macro. So we're actually able to get really, really close on the dial. I'll take a quick test shot just so you can see what it's looking like right here. But that's how close we're able to get to the watch, and we can kind of fine tune from here. Other tools that I've got on the camera setup that are really, really helpful for macro photography. One, the shape V-mount battery. This is on the back of the camera. This is actually supplying the camera with power as I shoot, but also it's running an Atomos Ninja V Plus. This is overkill. I use this mostly for video. If you were shooting macro and you're wanting an external monitor so that way you could just see better, then I might suggest going with something like an Atomos Shinobi. This one is a recorder. I use this for video, so this is what I had. Let's talk about the light. So on this side here, we're using to light the product, we've got the 24-inch beauty dish and the Aputure 120D. The downside with using continuous lights is I'm almost at 100% power. If I were using flash, then we wouldn't be even close to 100% and we'd be able to light this no problem. I've also had to increase my ISO on my camera, so I'm at 1600 ISO. Good thing the S5 Mark II is very good in low light. So I'm actually going to kill this light off to the side here. And this is what the setup actually looks like right now. We've got some little bit of glare on the watch itself. I'm going to pop it over to my Ninja V so that way I can get a good look. And the key thing about having the Ninja V is you have focus peaking. So you can very clearly see what's in focus when you're using a monitor like this. So off to the side here, this is how we've got the watch kind of set up. We've got it kind of hung on a light stand off to the side and just hung in place so that way the watch doesn't move. Now I've noticed the hands have kind of drifted in their time, and that's not really where I want the hands to be. Kind of want them in between the 8 and the 7. So I'll take another test shot so that way you guys can see what it looks like. That's kind of where I want the hands to be. Now we're going to kind of play with the seconds hand. Not really sure where I want that to be, so I'm going to let that kind of roll a little bit while I tell you about the technique that we were talking about in portraiture. We're going to add that rim light or the hair light, but we're going to do it using Aputure MCs. And this is why I've got this set up off to the side here so that you can see what's going on. So the Aputure MCs, these are RGB lights, and we're going to use this as like a little hair light. And I'm just going to add a touch of color off to the side here. I'm not too sure if it's going to look best when the MCs are out of the frame, just hitting the side of the watch like you just see on the photo taken right here. That looks pretty good, but I think if we include the MCs in the shot, then we might be able to get this like fiery type of look. So we're going to kind of play around and just adjust the MCs in a way that kind of looks interesting, right? So I'm just going to kind of hold them off to the side here. Yeah, let's move it like this. And we're shooting at f5.6 right now. But as you can see, everything just falls out of focus so quickly on these macro lenses. So I'm even, like, you're actually seeing my hand in the photo, but you can't really tell what it is, and it's lit up with orange, so it kind of looks like red, fiery type of stuff. That looks pretty cool right now. And I mentioned throughout this video is like you want to be kind of close to the background, but not too close to the background. So I think that shot looks pretty good, but what you notice about this is I'm not really close to the background, but I'm not so far away that I lose the color of the background. And I'm using my red backdrop that I've got set off to the side. I think this shot looks pretty killer. That's shot number 1. Let's move on to shot number 2. But I think this video is getting long in the tooth, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So there you go. We created some pretty sweet shots using a macro lens and a fairly easy setup, mostly just using 3 lights to make it work. With macro photography, you do need some powerful lights for your main light, and I often use the Aputure 120D off to the side here. That is generally my main light, but occasionally I need even more power, so I break out the Nova P300C. This thing's a beast. They're both constant lights I have for video work, but flashes or strobes would certainly be the cheaper way to do it. But since I'm a video shooter first, I need some constant lights, and I can use these for video work as well. 100% I would recommend strobes like the 8400 or speed light like a GODOX 685 if macro photography is the main focus, and that would certainly be the cheaper way to go about it. So that's it for now. If you want to learn more about macro photography, hit henrys.com/events to see what workshops are happening in a store near you. We're running workshops all month long here. Hit the like button down below and cast your vote, and that's going to let me know that we should do more product related photography here on the channel. So my name is Anthony, and I'll see you in the next one.